Hello and welcome to another edition of the Fatu Network News Review. Today, Thursday, 18th October 2018. My name is Omar Wali. The committee that was set up to look into the Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, today they presented their report to the President. And we will have that one, their findings and recommendations made to the Gambian leader at State House. But before we that, we have to start with the newspapers, and I will start with the Standard that a Gambian commits suicide in Italy after being denied asylum. The Standard is reporting that Amadou Jawo, a 22-year-old from the Gambia who has lived in Italy for 2 years, has taken his own life by hanging himself from the cornice of the houses in the village of Catalanis in Maria in the southern Italy, where he has been living. The Association of Bubble, which has launched the subscription for the reparation of the body, announced his death. The young man has received a denial of study application for political asylum and could no longer remain in Italy. He wanted to go back to Africa, but he was afraid of being held up as a failure, and as ashamed, he thought he had no choice but to hang himself. The report stated, according to the Italian paper Today, on Tuesday, the special envoy of the United Nations High Commission, Vincent Cachel, announced that for the first time in the history of the migration across the Mediterranean Sea, a number of migrants rejected in Italy by the Libyan Coast Guards exceeded the arrival in Italy, and a situation attributed to the agreement reached between the Maghreb countries and the anti-migrant government in Rome, Italy. From January 1st to 30th of September 2018, 12,543 arrived in Italy from Libya against the 14,500 people intercepted by the Libyan Coast Guard. Colley claims a witch hunt against Jammeh, that is the national mobilizer of the opposition Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction, has stated that the just launched Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission is designed to witch hunt the former President Yahya Jammeh. You may remember on Monday, the TRRC was launched and to look into past human rights records which happened under the former regime. Speaking in a Standard interview, Yankuba Colley said, although the Truth Commission all over the world focus on unearthing the truth and healing divisions in societies that have history, legacies of systematic violence, the Gambia TRRC will bring more division as it's purposely designed to witch hunt Jammeh and his close associates, said Yankuba Colley. Over 40 million paid to Jammeh as an allowance. That is another story on the Standard, that over $40 million was paid to the exiled former president Yahya Jammeh from 2007 to 2013 as travel allowances and other expenses. Accountant General Mahmoud Lamin Ba revealed to the Jammeh Commission yesterday. Mr. Ba was summoned by the inquiry in connection with the salaries of the former president and his wife and top military aide, General Suleiman Baji. Ba further revealed that the total payment made to the president in 2014 as a travel allowance and per diems was over $10 million. The Accountant General, however, told the inquiry that his office could not trace the total amount of allowance paid to Jammeh from 1994 July to 2017, as well as the increment in his salary when he was the chairman of the council from 1994 to 1997. And United Nations has called on the Gambia government to ensure impartiality and transparency of the Truth, Reconciliation and the Reparation Commission. Speaking to journalists after meeting with President at the State House on Tuesday, the United Nations Assistant Secretary General for Peace-Building Reports, Oscar Fernandez, said the Gambia should ensure that what happened in the country in the past 22 years never happens again. And President Barrow welcomes French agri-plants minister into the country. That is, His Excellency President Barrow has lauded the initiative of the French government to invest massively in agricultural commercialization and mechanization, stressing that the value addition in agricultural production will greatly contribute to food security in the Gambia. And on the Point newspaper, the coroner inquest appointed to probe into the death of Luis Gomez. Luis Gomez was the deputy head of the defunct National Intelligence Agency. He was confirmed death last week at Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital in Banjul. Edu and several other officials of the National Intelligence Agency are standing trial for the death in custody of the United Democratic Party solo standing in 2016. And according to the Point newspaper, Malafi Jaju, the first-class magistrate in Banjul, has been appointed as a coroner to inquire into the death of Luis Gomez, of one of the 8 accused persons of the defunct National Intelligence Agency, who was standing trial on several charges, including murder. He was reported to have died at Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital. And ICC Bensouda, we will keep a watchful eye on Gambia Truth Process. That is the Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Fatou Bensouda, has said that Gambia's truth-seeking process, which kicked off this week, with the swearing-in of 11 commissions as International Criminal Court pledges to keep an full eye on the examination of human rights abuses during the 22-year tenure of former President Yahya Jammeh. They are also reporting that the French agri plants in the Gambia, and on the Voice newspaper, they also reporting M5 Jallo advised Barrow, and with GDC, that's the PR Public Relations Officer of the Gambia Democratic Congress, Mohamed M5 Jallo, has said that the Gambia technocrats should come forward and offer their advice to the Gambian leader, Adama Barrow, and on running the administrative process. The country's technocrats to counsel President Barrow in the proper means of development to take the right decisions as to bring the relevant service to the doorsteps of the masses as expected of the government. And the First Lady also called on West African leaders to end child marriage. That is Madam Fatou Barrow. The First Lady of the Gambia has called on West African leaders to help ending the children on the move in sub-region. She made these remarks while delivering the opening statement on the 14th Sharing Committee meeting of ECOWAS Directors of Child Protection. And they're also reporting that Mufti Mink to visit the Gambia in November. We had that story here yesterday. And on the Fourier newspaper, they're also reporting that the coroner inquest into Luis Gomez's death. They reported that and PEC suspend GPPC submission. That is the National Assembly Select Committee on Public Enterprise Committee has yesterday suspended the presentation of 2015 report of the Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation for the corporation failure to submit its 2016 and 2017 activity report and financial statements. Well, that's all we have for you today on the newspapers. I will move on to another story we have today. On the 28th of August, you may remember, a committee was constituted to conduct a fact-finding in Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation. Some of the staff protested against the managing director, Mohamed Manjang, and marched to the State House demanding his resignation. Manjang was sent home, and a 6-man committee was selected to look into the matter. And today, the chairman of the committee, Lamin Samate, presented their findings to the president at State House. And the report highlighted some of series of things in that report. So let's take a listen to the chairman of the committee, Lamin Samate.
As members of the independent panel, which you appointed, Your Excellency, on the 28th August 2018, and the name of whom have already been presented. Your Excellency, we are pleased to say that we have completed the assignment and we have covered all the terms of reference which again have been listed, have been spoken about. Your Excellency, we have given the background to the crisis, and we have also looked at the staff complaints in their petition and have interviewed a number of staff in the corporation. We've also looked at the various incidents that happened during this very difficult time for the corporation. We have gone beyond the dispute within the organization as required in our terms of reference. We have looked at the structural and systemic weaknesses of the corporation and have come up with recommendations. In tracing the background and causes of the crisis, the panel established that On assuming duty, the Managing Director, Mr. Mohammed Manjang, had found an institution in severe financial and management distress. He had then set out to address some of the problems discovered by embarking on a number of cost-cutting measures. This did not, at the time, appear to have provoked resistance from the staff. Part of the measures he chose to address was through the commissioning of an institutional assessment and staff audit of the corporation by an independent consultancy firm. A report of that exercise made a number of recommendations whose implementations would mean that staff would have to be retrenched or redeployed, appointment and promotions would need to be rationalized, and staff skills would have to be looked at against the functions the staff carry out. Apparently, this information got to be known to staff after a management meeting at which the report had been discussed. The panel had highlighted in the report all the related issues that agitated the staff during the interactions we had with them. Generally, the panel observed that the corporation certainly needs reforms, as it has suffered severely from bad governance of the recent decades. The panel therefore recommends the full implementation of the recommendations contained in the consultancy report entitled Institutional Assessment and Human Resources Audit by the consultants Senghor Associates. The implementation of the recommendations in the report would be beneficial to the owners of the corporation, who are the pensioners and the contributors. It would also be beneficial to the staff, who are the trustees, and of course the country at large. Change is certainly not an easy thing to manage. The natural response to change is resistance, but in the case of Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, change is absolutely necessary. Those who may be charged to bring about the reforms must communicate effectively with all who may be affected. We have recommended that the governing body of the corporation, which is the board of directors and which is also responsible for policy formulation, overall management and control of the corporation, be supported strongly in this reform process. The panel also sees the need for the board to request for expertise in reform process implementation to help the board and management to ensure full implementation of the reforms proposed. Your Excellency, it is the view of the panel that the people who have broken the law, the regulations, and the staff rules during the crisis be disciplined by the board. The rule of law and stability at our workplaces must be maintained in order to bring about the benefits of development to the people. There were serious lapses in the way the staff expressed their concern for redress and settlement. Section 15, subsection 2 of Labour Act 2007 states that where any question, difference, or dispute concerning the employment relationship arises between an employee and employer, either party may report the matter to the commissioner, who shall take such steps as seem to him or her
the sound is not good. We will take a list, play the clip again and see if the sound will be good. So the technician will play the clip again because so many people are informing us that they can't hear what Mr. Samata is saying. So let's take a listen to the clip again. As you may remember, on the 28th of August 2018, the committee was set up to look into the Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation case. Some staff at the Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation protested against their managing director, Mohammed Manjang, and some of them went up to the State House demanding his resignation. A committee was set up to look into the matter, and today the chairman and people who conducted the findings into the matter today presented their reports to the president. Let's take a listen to Mr. Samate, the chairman of the committee.
Disputes as members of the independent panel, which you appointed, Your Excellency, on the 28th August 2018, and the name of whom have already been presented. Your Excellency, we are pleased to say that we have completed the assignment and we have covered all the terms of reference which again have been listed, have been spoken about. Your Excellency, we have given the background to the crisis, and we have also looked at the staff complaints in their petition and have interviewed a number of staff in the corporation. We've also looked at the various incidents that happened during this very difficult time for the corporation. We have gone beyond the dispute within the organization as required in our terms of reference. We have looked at the structural and systemic weaknesses of the corporation and have come up with recommendations. In tracing the background and causes of the crisis, the panel established that on assuming duty, the Managing Director, Mr. Mohammed Manja, had found an institution in severe financial and management distress. He had then set out to address some of the problems discovered by embarking on a number of cost-cutting measures. This did not, at the time, appear to have provoked resistance from the staff. Part of the measures he chose to address was through the commissioning of an institutional assessment and staff audit of the corporation by an independent consultancy firm. The report of that exercise made a number of recommendations whose implementations would mean that staff would have to be retrenched or redeployed, appointment and promotion would need to be rationalized, and staff skills would have to be looked at against the functions the staff carry out. Apparently, this information got to be known to staff after a management meeting at which the report had been discussed. The panel had highlighted in the report all the related issues that agitated the staff during the interactions we had with them. Generally, the panel observed that the corporation certainly needs reforms, as it has suffered severely from bad governance of the recent decades. The panel therefore recommends the full implementation of the recommendations contained in the consultancy report entitled Institutional Assessment and Human Resources Audit by the consultants Senior Associates. The implementation of the recommendations in the report would be beneficial to the owners of the corporation, who are the pensioners and the contributors. It would also be beneficial to the staff, who are the trustees, and of course the country at large. Change is certainly not an easy thing to manage. The natural response to change is resistance, but in the case of Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, change is absolutely necessary. Those who may be charged to bring about the reforms must communicate effectively with all who may be affected. We have recommended that the governing body of the corporation, which is the board of directors and which is also responsible for policy formulation, overall management and control of the corporation, be supported strongly in this reform process. The panel also sees the need for the board to request for expertise in reform process implementation to help the board and management to ensure full implementation of the reforms proposed. Your Excellency, it is the view of the panel that the people who have broken the law, the regulations, and the staff rules during the crisis be disciplined by the board. The rule of law and stability at our workplaces must be maintained in order to bring about the benefits of development to the people. There were serious lapses in the way the staff expressed their concern for redress and settlement. Section 15, subsection 2 of Labour Act 2007 states that where any question, difference, or dispute concerning the employment relationship arises between an employee and employer, either party may report the matter to the commissioner, who shall take such steps as seem to him or her to be expedient to encourage settlement between the parties. The staff ignore this section and took their own way to pursue their dispute. The staff took industrial action by ignoring Section 139 of the Labour Act 2007, which required 14 days notice to the Commissioner. Industrial action of which 14 days notice in writing has not been given to the Commissioner is an improper industrial action and may be prohibited by the order of the High Court in the application of employer affected by the action. The staff ignored Section 3, subsection of the Ombudsman Act of 1997. As part of his functions, the Ombudsman shall investigate complaints of injustice, corruption, abuse of office, maladministration, unfair treatment of any person by a public officer in the exercise of his or her official duties. The staff could have lodged their complaints to the Ombudsman for redress before any industrial action. Section 5 of Public Order Act of 2009 was not followed. There is no evidence of the staff for acquiring license from the Inspector General of Police before marching and assembling at the State House gate in a form of protest as required by the section. The staff violated Rule 0504 of the Service Rule of the Corporation by communicating to the press without prior sanction by the Managing Director. Whatever the case may be, if we are aggrieved, we must pursue our complaints in accordance with the rule and regulations. Finally, Your Excellency, we would like to thank you. We would like to thank the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs for providing us with administrative staff who provided us with excellent secretarial services at the Ocean Bay Hotel, which is in fact the property of the corporation. I would like to thank my colleagues in the panel for their hard work, dedication, and good judgment. Your Excellency, we have exceeded the 1 month which you have given us to submit the report. The nature of the assignment was such that we had to request for a short extension. Your Excellency, we would like to thank you for the confidence and trust you have bestowed upon us. For us, this is a great pride and a privilege. We hope we have risen up to expectations. Your Excellency, we hereby present our report.
A committee set up to look into Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation's matter. Mr. Lamin Samate there today, they presented their findings to President Barrow. From what we have heard, the report has vindicated rather the Managing Director of Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, Mohamed Manjang rather. And after presenting their findings, the President of the Republic, Adama Barrow, has also thanked the chairman and his team for job well done. Let's take a listen to the President.
And his panel members today at State House. I think my work is a very simple one today. Just to thank Mr. Samate and his team. First of all, to accept to be part of this panel. It's a very important day in the history of this country. It's very important as far as this new government is concerned. I mentioned earlier when this assignment was given to these panel members that is a test to our democracy. We have been tested, but with the cooperation of everybody, every Gambian, I think we can build a strong foundation for our democracy to move this country forward. It is the only way others can help, but the ultimate responsibility is with the Gambian people. We acknowledge the good work and the effort of the panel into the assignment they were tasked with, and we thank them for completing the assignment within a very, very short period. That means you took this assignment very seriously. I think everybody is waiting for this report. The report will help government in making decisions. I will sit down with my team to make sure we look at the report. If there is need for us to consult you, we will consult to make the correct decision in the interest of the Gambia, in the interest of social security, in the interest of workers in this country. I think that is very, very important for us to move this country forward. And also we will make sure public institutions smoothly perform their mandate to serve the people of the Gambia. The smooth function of social security is by no means an exception. This is why I constituted an independent panel to investigate the crisis that gravel the corporation. The chairman spoke about reforms. I think it has been talked about from day one when we came to office, that we need to reform institutions, reform the civil service, the security sector, because we inherited a very abnormal system, a polluted system, a broken system. It is not even to reform, but a complete overhaul of the system. And I think with this report, it will help government in doing that. It will make our job very easy, and we cannot thank you enough as elderly statesmen, as respected people in the society. I think with this report, it will help everybody, and it will make everybody at peace that these people will give us the best report, independent report for government to make a decision. Very soon, sit down and look at it to make sure we make the correct report, decision in the interest of every Gambian, in the interest of the institution, and in the interest of democracy. Once more again, I thank you very much, and we're looking forward to working with you in the future. This is the responsibility of every Gambian, especially Gambians who have Gambia at heart. Thank you very much.
That was President Adama Barrow there
and his panel
at
members
the State House after receiving the report of Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation from Lamin Samate and his team. The team was constituted on the 28th of August to look into the Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation's matter, and they did their findings and recommendations, and the report was presented to President Barrow today. And in President's statement, he said it is a test for the Gambian democracy, and he also said he will sit down with his team and to make a correct decision as far as the Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation is concerned. Well, viewers, that's all we have for you today. From me, Amar Wali, and my team, we thank you all for your time. Till next week. Thank you.